Hi everybody, so I chose to do my historical analysis paper and presentation on social psychology. So I'm going to start off by talking about some of those far past influences, so the Greeks and Greek philosophers. So two of the main Greek philosophers that I found influential to social psychology were Plato and Aristotle. Aristotle noted that human beings are naturally social creatures. We like to work in communities and in groups. We live with other people. Plato noted that the government puts pressure on individuals to work in a society. So, although they have a little bit of differing views onto why we're social, they still note that human beings are social. And I think this lays a really good foundation for future social psychologists to begin to study what they chose to study. So, although Greek philosophers didn't particularly study social psychology, they definitely set some good groundwork. Another philosopher to note in the late 1700s was a philosopher named Hegel, and Hegel went in to write lots of papers on how the human mind is developed by experience in society, and so again you can see this idea of human beings as social creatures being brought up again, and I find that very important in that far past area of social psychology. To more of a recent past, our first social psychologist, his name was Norman Triplett in 1898. He found out that people that are riding bicycles ride their bicycles faster when other people are riding bicycles around them. So this is called social facilitation, and it's that people work differently in groups than they work individually. This opened the door to many other social psychologists. So that far past that our foundation, Norman Triplett opened that door to social psychology, and from there it really blossomed, especially in the 1930s with Kurt Lewin and Nazism. His social action research was discussed in our text, so I won't go over that with you guys, but he really also opened some more doors for social psychology. And then I'm going to briefly mention a couple of studies and supply you guys with some links if you want to learn more about them. So we have Bandura with the Bobo doll study. I always mess that up. You can go ahead and click my One Direction poster if you want to learn more about the Bobo doll study. Also, we have Milgram, obviously, with the shock experiment, and you can go ahead and click that if you want a refresher on Milgram. Also, you have Solomon Asch. Solomon Asch worked with Confederates and participants and wanted to look at conformity. So, did the participants conform with the Confederates and say that line A was shorter than line B, or however it was? You can go ahead and click on that if you want a refresher on Asch or you don't know much about Asch. And last but not least, our text did not mention the study, but it did mention Zimbardo's name briefly, the Stanford Prison Experiment. So that was with Zimbardo, and it's fascinating, but it's way too much to talk about in this moment. So please feel free to click on my One Direction poster with the link for the Stanford Prison Experiment. So now we kind of ask the question, what is our social psychologists doing now? And I had a little bit of a difficult time trying to figure out how I was going to know about this. So I looked up social psychology journals and looked at a lot of the articles that people were writing and publishing now. And there is still a lot of conformity issues. There's a lot of racism issues. There's a lot of psychology in the law issues. So, what kinds of people are jurors going to convict or not, and it's very interesting. So in my paper I'm going to have a lot of examples about that, but primarily I found that social media has a huge influence on today's social psychologists. Social media, technology, the use of internet, things like that. And in fact, there's a lot of debate about whether or not internet addiction should be added to the DSM-5. And I think that, or I guess the 6 now because the 5 came out, but there's a lot of debate about internet and technology, and so I think this current issue of technology and how much we use it and how it affects us as social beings is also really going to influence the future of social psychology, and I think that's really a lot of the direction that we're headed. As for any questions, make sure you guys let me know. I'd love to answer them, and I'm sure it would help me write my paper, so feel free to post that. Other than that, I'm going to go write my paper, so I will talk to you guys later, and I hope you had a good time watching my presentation. Thank you.